In my upcoming book, Betrayal, the Final Act of the Trump Show, I report that Trump told McDaniel he was done with the Republican Party. This is according to multiple sources familiar with the conversation. "I'm done," Trump told McDaniel from his office on board Air Force One. "I'm starting my own party." "You cannot do that," McDaniel told Trump. "If you do, we will lose forever." "Exactly. You lose forever without me," Trump responded. "I don't care." Trump's attitude, according to a source who heard the conversation, was that if he lost, everyone around him deserved to lose too.
Happy Monday to everyone out there. Hope everyone is doing well. I just want to open today's show with that today. Hello, how's everyone? See me up on the screen here. I wanted to open up with that video clip there. The narrator of that was Jonathan Carl, and he just released a book called Betrayal, the Final Act of the Trump Show. And before I get into this, I have a question. What on earth is going on in our media today? That's what I want to address in my preamble here today. So Jonathan writes in this book and explains that he had an inside source that told him that Trump wants out of the GOP and make his own party. And as you saw there, he spoke to Ronald McDonald, and he had some sources, some inside sources to attest to this. My question is, why is our media so enamored by the previous administration when our current one is facing a myriad of issues pertaining to COVID, mandates, infrastructure bill, our economy, and quite frankly, the integrity of our elections? Now, I'm not talking about fraud and all this nonsense with mail-in ballots and our take on that. I'm talking about this. Why does every election feel like life or death? Does anyone want to talk to me about that? Why does it feel like the world is coming to an end and we must vote, and we must vote one side? When I was in high school, P. Diddy ran a marathon just to get young adults to vote. That didn't work. As you may recall, Obama was still elected by majority white people twice. But it didn't have the kind of turnout allure that a first black president should. You know, that didn't work. It didn't have the kind of feel to it. But you know what did? Donald Trump, whom arguably had the highest turnout in voting history that this country has ever seen in 2 straight elections. Whether you voted for him or voted not for him, it doesn't matter. He still had the highest turnouts. I guess it's about who's running that matters the most. This is what both parties wanted. Am I right? They wanted more Americans to be involved, particularly young adults, rather than the media run endless smear campaigns on everything Trump. Their derangement has unfortunately blinded them from the reality that now there is more young people in the mix. And guess what? They are not liking they're not liking that the country is still split, despite that young people are voting. It's still split. If you were born under a rock, you will see that. Look at the statistics. It is still split. Our country is still split, and it's particularly still split on how they view public trial cases like the Derek Chauvin's or the Kyle Rittenhouse case that is going on now, our wokeness, racism, and list goes on and on. But now there is yet another concerning issue for the left that the black immigrant woman, Winsome Sears, who was elected lieutenant governor in office as a Republican, and in one newspaper article by the Washington Examiner cites this. Liberals have been shockingly bold in attacking her, Winsome Sears, as basically not being black enough because she is a Republican, and also claiming that her election does not absolve the GOP of the sins of racism. What? Folks, this begs the question, what on earth is going on with our media in America? Well, the deputy opinion editor, Bataya Ungar Sagan, was on the Brian Seltzer show talking about the dangers of woke media. We intentionally want to start off our show tonight with this so that we can set the tone for how we can view our media. I've said it on previous broadcasts, folks, that the media's job is not to report the truth. It's to report the news, particularly the news they believe will attribute them more views. That would eventually increase their ratings. And here's what she had to say. Let me roll that film up here.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Media right up front. So what is the woke media?
I don't know. You tell me, Brian. Are we on woke media right now? No, again, let's rely on sociologists, okay? These same sociologists trawled the archives of the New York Times, the Washington Post, even the Wall Street Journal, NPR, CNN, and what they found was, starting around 2011, 2012, an absolute skyrocketing of the use of woke words like white privilege or marginalization or oppression. These companies started using these words when they went digital as a way of increasing their traffic, and it created this feedback loop with the affluent white readership that they were courting, to where it shifted public opinion.
And that's what she's saying, simply, that it increased the traffic. I want you to pay attention that it increased the traffic. It gives them more views. But before we continue with this clip, I wanted to start off that way intentionally. But let us introduce ourselves. I'm Macho, that's Savory, and you're watching us on Drinks with a Nobody on Nobody. That's right. I'm Macho, that's Savory, and you're watching us at Drinks with a Nobody. You be sure to follow us on Twitch at MachoFix88 and at Savory_edition. Also be on the lookout for our Twitter at MachoFix88 and at Savory_edition. Savory, how's TikTok?
We booming, we moving, we
That's
doing
right.
having fun with it, you know, man.
Be sure to also follow us on TikTok. We got our same handles there. We also just put up our Discord. It's called Drinks with a Nobody. And in case you miss any of our previous past broadcasts, be sure to go on the YouTube, type in Drinks with a Nobody, hit subscribe, click that notification bell, so when we go live, You know it, and you never miss a thing. Hey, Savory, what kind of audience are we trying to gather? And why on earth do we want anyone to listen to us nobodies?
Shout out to your intro, man. Shout out to your intro, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have an important crisis in our hands with this media, man. That's what I call it. So, great intro. But let me tell you why y'all should join us every single day, with the exception of weekends, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do this every day doing what, man? We go live, we invite conversation, and we try to do really the opposite of what the media is doing, the opposite of what this culture is doing, the opposite of what even schools and universities encourage,
That's a fact.
Instead of doing that censoring kind of speech, instead of holding back what we really believe, we out here sharing some truth, sharing some knowledge, and also learning from our audience. So if you're in that chat, you have some thoughts, you have some ideas, man, please don't hesitate. No ideas bad, but every idea is up for challenge, including ours. So, let's do this. We appreciate everybody joining. So stay tuned for name dropping news today, because
and by the way, do not do this without a drink. We're called Drinks with a Nobody for a reason. We break down politics and culture one topic at a time, and we do this over a drink. I got my Gatorade today. I'm a little bit under the weather. How about you, Savory?
I got that alkaline water.
Oh, and any of our audience tuning in, tell us what you're drinking. What do you like to drink? What kind of alcoholic beverage do you drink? And if you don't have one already, go into that fridge, pick your beverage of choice, come back, sit back, relax, and prepare to engage. I want to continue with that interview that we just saw there, a brief clipping of the Brian Selter sitting down with the editor and opinion editor for Newsweek, because she says something else, Savory, that's going to rock you.
Hold on, you say it was try to gain traffic. Maybe we just try to cover America more accurately.
That's a really great question, right? Like, aren't they just covering a rise in racism? What we
Not
know,
just a rise in racism, but recognizing marginalized communities, taking the lives of all Americans seriously, and not just covering, one subset that usually gets all the news attention.
So, of course, it's extremely important that we cover marginalized communities. It is extremely important that we cover state-sponsored racism where it still exists. That is not what is happening. What we're seeing is a moral panic around race that has alienated the very communities that we are supposedly advocating on behalf of, right?
Oh, my God.
Yo, what in the world is state sponsoring racism? Like, what was that? Am I missing something here? Am I so out of touch that I can't see what's intertwining behind the scenes, that the state is sponsoring the racism? Like, man,
Listen.
they treat these communities, when I say these communities, minority communities, Black, Hispanics, they treat us like babies. They treat us like we don't really have a reality touch. We're not in touch with reality, better said.
We're like precious jewels that just can't be damaged.
People are insane, man.
This is absolutely absurd. What do you mean state-sponsored racism? What does that even mean? Anyone in the chat, does anyone know what that means? I'm curious. Anyone who wants to take a stab for this.
He's going. Where do you think?
What I think, Savory, what I wanted to highlight is that she said, by taking this approach, we are alienating the very communities in which we're trying to speak up for. Think about that. We're alienating the minority communities. We're ostracizing them. We're separating them. Like, is that far-fetched to believe?
And she means that in what way? Explain that really quick.
Well, she's really going into the whole idea of this woke language. Don't speak of it just when you're gaining all these views. You're not understanding what this means culturally. When you're using this woke language, you don't realize that it may not be sitting well with people in these communities. People in these communities don't speak this way. And don't think that if you're speaking this way, this is attributing or this gains you that kind of camaraderie or that kind of immediate connection. Like, oh, let me speak this way. I know my brother, that black and brown brother, is going to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And
that's how disassociated all of you are.
Yeah, the pandering is real, man. The pandering is 100%.
That's a great word. Yeah, pandering. Just pandering. Yeah.
And they pander to add on to that in different ways, and they continue to add on. When you have schools, you have universities, and you have these. So now it's like they're trying
It's
to
like
get
they're forcing it.
yeah,
It's
they're
like
trying to get you to hear this lingo all around you. So when you hear it, it resonates with somebody who quote unquote loves you and cares for you. You know, it's political manipulation.
I
at
mean, look at
best.
what I said in the introduction, Savory. That Winsome Sears is not black enough.
Yeah,
What are we talking about,
can't wait
folks?
to get to that. Yeah, so
You lost me. Now you lost me. If I was still a liberal, you lost me with that statement.
yeah,
If
crazy.
I was still voting Democrat, if you want to lose voters, that's what you say. You're not black enough?
Crazy.
How racist is that?
Well, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black.
I see we lost a viewer after I asked that question. And
Yeah.
that's pretty darn sad because we need to start thinking. We need to start thinking and stop voting emotionally. Savory has a TikTok on this, on how people need to stop voting emotionally and they need to start looking at candidates as they are, as infallible as they are.
Mhm.
None of these candidates are here to save you. Your derangement over Trump is not going to save you. Your worshiping of over Trump is not going to save you. What save you is you. Vote less government. That's what saves you.
And as we go through these, I want people to keep that in mind, right? And not only vote less government, but vote with less expectation. I tell people, right? The expectation, put them more on like have them earn your vote. That's what's sad. They don't earn our votes no more because we are
They don't.
voting party lines and faithfulness. So even as we go through all these people we're about to go through, Kyle Rittenhouse, Jackson, how do they have a similar thread? I'm gonna show you what's a similar thread here before we play our next clip. The similar thread is
Mhm.
it's all a sense of manipulation to make you think one way or the other, right? So this is where biases come in the media, right? And it's just sad, man. But let's keep this train moving, man. Let's get to the meat of this.
I couldn't agree with you more, Savory. The media is pandering. They're disassociated. They're not connected. Even the politicians that we say are our saviors don't know what to save us from, and don't realize what they actually need to save us from is them.
Talk
We
about
need less government here, folks. And over the course of the weeks that if you follow us long enough, we will explain why less government works for places, especially like Sweden. Over the weekend, Savory, I don't know if you got my text message, but I sent you a message on watching a specific video on Free to Choose Network. It's
I
called
didn't watch that, yeah.
A Lesson for America, Sweden. A Lesson for America. And if the world is not screaming at America enough, please give it a chance. Go on Freedom to Choose Network. Check out that documentary, and you'll be astonished how less government works. You'll be astonished. So, moving on to the show here today. I read a news clipping here, say in the Washington Post, liberal Washington Post over here. And by the way, the reason why I say that is because the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos. Just so you guys know. All right. So Democrats call on New Jersey Republican to concede gubernatorial race. And specifically, I want to read this. New Jersey Democrats pressed Republican gubernatorial nominee Jack Ciattarelli to concede last week's election, saying that his silence since the race was called for, Governor Phil Murphy, Democrat, is an assault on the integrity of our elections. Forget about ballot harvesting. Forget about all that other stuff. Forget about even going against the state legislator as potential election issues, integrity issues. But by him not even conceding now, Savory, is considered a challenge to the integrity of the elections. So they further say the race is over. Murphy campaign manager Molly Benotto said in a statement early Monday, Assemblyman Ciattarelli is mathematically eliminated and he must accept the results and concede the race. His continuing failure to do so is an assault on the integrity of our elections. What do you say, Savory? What say you?
Wow, I just got a notification right now by Epoch Times that says possible recount looms in New Jersey as Governor Ray's still being tallied, literally right now, as you were speaking. So to answer your question, they called it prematurely, strategically, right? It's not prematurely by accident, thinking they made a mistake, right? So when I look at it like that, I'm like, what is the hurt in just waiting, right? And I don't like this extra days of every other state finishes with a similar population than certain states and counties with that Democrat control still counting. I don't like that, man. It doesn't sit well with me. But what I would say is this:
What's that?
we should have a more transparent system, because at the end of the day, neither you or I know what's really going on out there, because you know what I'm saying, you have mail-in ballots. So for me, it's like, how do I really get an honest opinion? Because I don't really know what's going on. So I don't like how I feel about that in a country that we're supposed to be transparent and honest. So
my question is what's the pressure? What's the looming pressure? The incumbent will sit there until what? January? Right? Before the new term begins. I think it's in January. So what's the pressure? What are we in a rush for, folks? Why does this person need to concede now? If you want to validate or substantiate the integrity of your election, then allow due process to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not afraid of anything shady going on, if you're not afraid, have it all counted, have it all transparent, have everybody there.
It's not what they want, though.
In fact, invite the whole world. Oh, but that'll take I don't care. If you feel like you won fair and square, then show me. But they don't want to do that. That's how I feel. Here's what Jack Ciattarelli had. He had a few things to say after the election. He was not silent. He is silent now. But soon after the election and after they called it, after Phil Murphy took and had his victory speech, Ciattarelli had something to say. Check this out.
Hey everybody, Jack Ciattarelli here. Time for another Jack Chat. And this might be the most important Jack Chat yet, so please watch and share. 2 days ago, shockwaves were sent throughout our state and the national political world, all because a Republican was in position to win the race for governor here in New Jersey. Despite what the polls, press, and pundits were saying, I knew I could win. Why? Because every time a governor of this state has taken us too far off track, the decent, hardworking people of New Jersey have always risen up and said, that's not where we want to go. Currently, Governor Murphy and I are separated by about 1% after 2.4 million ballots counted. There are still tens of thousands of vote by mail and provisional ballots yet to be counted. And so, the governor's victory speech last night was premature. No one should be declaring victory or conceding the election until every legal vote is counted. Here is where we...
I like how you use the word no one.
Mm-hmm.
Citing that there's no sides here. It's no one. No one should be claiming victory, nor should anyone be claiming defeat. Let's let the count continue. You wanted to do counting from, you wanted to do mail-in ballots, and you wanted to do all these kinds of things, then let the process happen. It takes time. But I love how cunning that article was. It says that he is mathematically out. What do you think of that, Savory? Do you think he's mathematically out?
I'll say this. There are approximately 70,000 provisional ballots not counted and an unknown number of vote by mail ballots still being received in an unknown way and number.
Wait a second. And he said how many separates him and Murphy?
Less than 1%, he says. So I don't know the exact number he gave, but it's still hoping that the unknown number of mail-in, right? Ciattarelli legal counsel Mark Sheridan said in the statement, at this time, we do not expect provisional vote counts to end with Jack Ciattarelli in the lead, said the other campaign. But at the end of the day, man, I do feel still a long shot for him, but out of the process of election, right? And actually having an honest process, just get used to being more transparent and giving the actual results when it's time, not when you feel like it, right? This project, but this is the media's fault, they project the winner early and then they run with it, and then the whole world thinks that's it, so
yeah, facts. And again, if I think me and you had a discussion of this off air about the presidential election that just passed in 2020, and I understand how it is extremely difficult to have a decision looming,
Mhm.
and that could be a threat to national security. But the incumbent usually rules until January.
Yeah, he's
What
doing
is the
something.
rush to decide who won that election before the time? Okay, and again, this is where I start to ask questions. Who has more to gain here? Who is who is looking for this so much more? And it
Yeah.
appeared on face value, it appeared that both parties wanted the chair most. But it's like who's willing to call this so early tells me who wants the chair more.
Yeah.
You know, they were so
Point.
eager, and there's never been a president elect that made more speeches. I never seen a president elect in front of the camera that much. They're usually just sitting in the background. You don't see them until January. I don't understand how we got to that. Anyways, yeah, I wanted to cover this about Winsome Newsom, about the
Mm.
whole statement that was said that she's not black enough. That's number one,
Winsome
and that
Sears.
just because, huh? Winsome
Winsome
Sears,
Sears.
yeah. The newly Lieutenant Governor elect, Winsome Sears of Virginia, ran on the Republican ticket, and some liberals had this to say, and I'm going to repeat it. Liberals have a shocking bold in attacking her as basically not being black enough because she is a Republican, and also claiming that her election does not absolve the GOP of sins of racism.
Hmm.
What racism? What racism is the GOP guilty of? That they don't have compassion towards minorities specifically? That's racism?
They don't give enough. They don't do it. It's just, man, the standard of racism has
Like,
been
do they
diluted so
understand
much.
that when these welfare things happen, it's a bipartisan thing that they had to vote on? Both parties, no matter who did not want to vote for it, doesn't matter if 10 Republicans didn't want to vote for it, you're going to generalize the entire GOP as being racist?
That's what they do. That's the campaign.
How do you think the Civil Rights Bill was passed? How do you think we even abolished slavery? How do you think even any of these cases of recent strong opinion on same-sex marriage, all this, these were bipartisan situations. Whether you had a liberal or conservative judge, the point of the matter is this happened under a group of people who decided on these things. So again, this sounds like political rhetoric when I hear one side charge the other side of something that they're actually guilty of. The Democrats have been time and time again guilty of racism all throughout history and currently. When everything has to be about one thing. When the minute something gets said, oh, you're a racist. Oh, I'm offended. Oh, your microaggressions appear to me that you have white privilege. What are you talking about? And again, this is why you're losing young adults in the inner city, because that kind of language does not appeal well to a gangster.
Facts.
Do you know who roam around the inner city? Gangsters don't talk like that. I'm offended because you're white privilege. You think a gangster, have you come across a gangster that talks like that in the hood, Savory?
Never, 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 man. That's not the direction they move, man. But
yeah, apparently Joy Reid had some things to say.
got a media clip on this?
I do not. I could not find anything in time, but
That's curious.
they have a writing here on Joy Reid had some things to say. She said this, and I quote, I'm going to read it really quickly. Even if they literally, she's talking about the Republican, even if they're literally trying to ban books about black people and saying you cannot talk about the black experience, we're going to cut that out of schools because white people don't like it. They still want they still want credit. They still want to be able to say it's not racist. And in this case, I want to get your comment on this because the two choices voters had in Virginia were black women who shares my daughter's name and a Jamaican heritage, and an Afro-Latina who's part Lebanese. So you had a choice of two brown black people, and you picked one of them. Do you get credit? Do you get special credit? It's like I had ice cream or cake or two options. Again, folks, what is Joy Reid talking about? This kind of endless battle only creates more agitation. Who cares what the other person's Afro-Latina, Afro-Latino? What is this? Okay, it's a Latina, Latino. We know that there's some mixture there, and it's white, black, and all that stuff in Latins. I don't need another subtext or prefix to decide what a Latino is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're again making things a lot more confusing, and in ways of saying, oh, but we're trying to be inclusive and validating. Go around the hood. Who's talking like this? These are the people you're appearing to. These are the people who you're trying to pander to. Here's Michael Eric Dyson. I eat the cake and the ice cream, clearly. What's interesting, you're absolutely right. Of course, he's not going to disagree with her. They want credit for breathing. They want credit for having. They want credit for having hair in the morning or getting up and brushing their teeth. Look, I've made an achievement. That should be noteworthy. No, you are doing what all political figures must do, make choices. The problem is here, they want white supremacy by ventriloquist effects. I can't. I can't. With this.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know what that guy's talking about. I never really. My man uses the fanciest words with the most.
He has the most proper education, where many people in inner city don't go to school, don't go to college, and you want to speak to them in these big words, and they get enamored by these big words. Say, look at this black man with these big words: the Cornel West, the Benjamin Crumps, the Al Sharptons, the Jesse Jackson. Must I keep going here, Savory? These people get so enamored and go, "Oh, he must be talking the truth."
Yeah, these people are telling you, man. No,
they'll sell you water if you live in you're a fish. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy, it's crazy.
Oh my God! Look again. This is how bad the liberal movement has gotten, to the point where a Republican woman who is black wins as a Republican, says, "Look, I've made it," and now they say she's not black enough. Folks, run from the Democrat Party. I promise you. Don't run to the Republican. Just because you see us here conservative doesn't mean we ran to the Republican. Stay away from Democrats. They have not left the Dixiecrat mindset. Don't let them lie to you. This is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense here. They care about identity politics, as if that brings me money. You know who it brings money? Ibram X. Kendi. $10 million from Jack Dorsey. Cornel West got money. You know who else got money? Von Jones. Everybody knows it. $100 million from Jeff Bezos. Where's that money going? Is that going to the hood, Savory? I'm going nowhere near the hood, baby. It's going right into their noses. That's where it's going. Right into their little high education, their snoot and their stout stance, and say, look, this is how we have to challenge it. We need a revolution. This needs to be eminent. We need to take down our government. Okay. That's why I look at you like, okay. Like OJ.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, who was a troll. He was trolling the Murphy campaign. If you missed any of our previous broadcasts, check that out, where we talk about James O'Keefe following the Phil Murphy campaign, exposing the Phil Murphy campaign, and yet apparently he still won because liberals are blind. But FBI went and raided his home. Savory has a little bit of insight on that. Why did they raid his home, Savory?
Yeah. As you pull that video up so people could have some context. So we have Ashley Biden, who is Joe Biden's daughter, who they found a journal of where she's documented taking a shower with her dad, now president, and accusation of molestation, right?
Oh.
Well, they gave all this information with a lot more other things in the journal to James O'Keefe, but James O'Keefe did what a journalist did and try to verify the information. Since he could not verify the information, he did not publish the information. That sounds like integrity to me. But hey, you decide what that could be. But again, now the FBI raided the home of his employees, raided his home today and all that. I'll let James O'Keefe explain the rest here.
A. Herrera, thanks for joining. Appreciate you. It's been a while. Haven't heard your name in a while. Most people hate the truth. It disrupts their lives.
It's uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Truth is
Absolutely. Truth is uncomfortable. And again, we need to look at the news not for the truth. We need to look at them as entertainment. That's it.
Yeah,
It's entertaining. Entertain yourself with a set of facts, a set of beliefs, a set of news, their perspective. That's what you do. But when I hear people have this endless debate, Savory, of, oh, the news said this is the truth. And I remember when the whole shenanigans was happening with Trump and Biden, that Trump was losing all these court cases. And I had one of my friends on Facebook says, you see, here's an article. See, here's what the judge is. See, those are all news, girl. Those are all news. And they want to appeal to you, who is posting this on Facebook as fact checking. I had a teacher of mine said, so I'm misleading people with certain statistics. Would you care to show me some of your statistics? Would you care to fact check? Because that's what the internet is all about, right? Fact checking. Fact. No, it's not about facts. The internet is an endless ocean of information. And if you want to be deluded to think that those are facts, I don't even know where to begin with you. And that was my teacher, Savory. That was my math teacher. So here we are. That's my education system right there. That's how deplorable I am. So yeah, James O'Keefe had I guess he was exposing what was going on, right?
Showtime.
Your mic was muted, sir.
Oh, I was saying.
By making this statement, I am putting myself at great risk because on November 4th, Project Veritas came under attack. I awoke to the news that apartments and homes of Project Veritas journalists, or former journalists, had been raided by FBI agents. It appears the Southern District of New York now has journalists in their sights for the supposed crime of doing their jobs lawfully and honestly, or at least this journalist. I had to think long and hard before making this statement. It's a decision that only I can make. They don't want me to defend myself and immediately try to silence me. That's why the cover letter to the grand jury subpoena we received contains this language. Quote, "The government hereby requests that you voluntarily refrain from disclosing the existence of the subpoena to any third party. While you are under no obligation to comply with our request, we are requesting you not to make any disclosure in order to preserve the confidentiality of the investigation and because the disclosure of the existence of this investigation might interfere with and impede the investigation," unquote. But while the Department of Justice requested us to not disclose the existence of the subpoena, something very unusual happened. Within an hour of one of our reporters' homes being secretly raided by the FBI, the New York Times, who we are currently suing for defamation, contacted the Project Veritas reporter to ask for comment. We do not know how the New York Times was aware of the execution of a search warrant at a reporter's home or the subject matter of the search warrant.
So you see,
oh my God,
you see the manipulation here. This is the power that the media has when they're in cahoots with the elites or powerful politician or powerful executives or even worse, FBI, Department of Justice, right? Because you have now a narrative that's painted. This is why it's powerful. For the sake of control, a lot of these leaders take over the media, right? Look at all the countries. You take over the media, you change perception of what's going on, and then you attack your opponents. Right now,
and then you can take their guns away.
Yeah,
you can take their rights away. Yeah,
they just painted a reality. They told them not to share the subpoena about Ashley Biden, but then the New York Times called for a comment behind the world that they know, and then on top of that, now they're going to his employees' place to subpoena them, and they have a warrant. I mean, not subpoena. They got a warrant supposedly to find that.
So the FBI told them not to say anything about the subpoena, but yet you have a news outlet contacting him.
You see,
about that subpoena.
Something's going on here. So let's keep playing this so we can see some of what's in the journal. I think he does play. Let's go.
Warrant, as a grand jury investigation is secret. The FBI took materials of current former Project Veritas journalists, despite the fact that our legal team previously contacted the Department of Justice and voluntarily conveyed unassailable facts that demonstrate Project Veritas's lack of involvement in criminal activity and or criminal intent. Like any reporter, we regularly deal with the receipt of source information and take steps to verify its authenticity, legality, and newsworthiness.
Yeah, so
That's
what?
journalism.
That's journalism. Before
That's
they
what's called
report
journalism.
anything, they have to verify. They have to say, okay, is this credible? It doesn't mean if it's true. It just needs to be credible. Is this
Yeah.
some other people, 2 other people, 3 other people that we can verify this with?
That's
And
what
then
you
we
call
can run with it. Does it even matter? Is it newsworthy? He's literally walking us through the entire process, and he's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
By making our efforts were the stuff of responsible, ethical journalism, and we are in no doubt that Project Veritas acted properly at each and every step. However, it appears journalism itself may now be on trial. Late last year, we were approached by tipsters claiming
That's
that a copy
lying.
of Ashley Biden's diary.
Check this out.
So you want me to continue here?
So as soon as he
Ooh.
plays this, let's just
Hold
play
on.
that clip so the people can see some of the stuff and how incriminated they could be and how he withheld from actually sharing that because the verification and the legality and the verification of that story was not confirmed. So he chose to do what journalists do and put it to the side. And not-
Here's yeah, absolutely. Here's a comment here. Reminds me of CNN being there for the FBI arresting Roger Stone. Looks like the FBI is a political entity.
yeah, for those of y'all who don't know
Wow.
what happened to Roger Stone, he got, a warrant. They broke into the house, but they had the whole media outside.
Not
Black
just the
Lives
whole
Matter, what
media.
they know. So the FBI,
It was just CNN. Just CNN got it.
just CNN. Yeah. So the whole,
So let's continue this, right?
We had never met or heard of the tipsters. The tipsters indicated the diary had been abandoned in a room in which Ms. Biden stayed at the time, and in which the tipsters stayed in temporarily after Ms. Biden departed the room. The tipsters indicated that the diary included explosive allegations against then-candidate Joe Biden. The tipsters indicated that they were negotiating with a different media outlet for the payment of monies for the diary. The tipsters were represented by attorneys who handled the negotiations with Project Veritas. We investigated the claims provided to us, as journalists do. We took steps to corroborate the authenticity of the diary. At the end of the day, we made the ethical decision that because, in part, we could not determine if the diary was real, if the diary in fact belonged to Ashley Biden, or if the contents of the diary occurred, we could not publish the diary and any part thereof. We attempted to return the diary to an attorney representing Ms. Biden, but that attorney refused to authenticate it. Project Veritas gave the diary to law enforcement to ensure it could be returned to its rightful owner. We never published it. Now, Ms. Biden's father's Department of Justice, specifically the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, appears to be investigating the situation, claiming the diary was stolen. We don't know if it was, but it begs the question. In what world is the alleged theft of a diary investigated by the president's FBI?
Oh my God.
See why we had to keep playing it?
Oh my
These
God.
are crazy.
And his Department of
allegations.
Justice. A diary.
What if this was Trump?
Oh, yeah, forget about it. Forget about it, bro. The whole
What if
world
this?
would
I
be-
want everyone out there to think this. What if replace Biden, replace Ashley Biden, and put one of Trump's daughters in that?
You got New York Post headlines. You
Oh
got
my
Washington
God.
Post, you got CNN. You got every single outlet attacking.
And what if he
without
did
being-
this with his DOJ? He would have been impeached.
Oh, for sure. This is insane.
This federal investigation smacks of politics. Project Veritas never threatened or engaged in any illegal conduct. Should the Southern District of New York try to take away our First Amendment rights and uncover and publish newsworthy stories without government intimidation, be assured Project Veritas will not back down. Nothing stops at Project Veritas. Let me be clear. Our mission is to serve the public's right to know by illuminating, revealing, exposing information.
So it looks like he's going into about himself, but that is pretty damning stuff there, Savory. Wow.
That's real stuff. But again, now is I made nothing off the story until I find out that the FBI is breaking into his residency, his employee's residency, and going as hard. Why would you go as hard to find a Biden a journal that's supposedly not really verified yet? You know something we don't know?
Facts.
Come on.
Yeah, it just looms this whole reality that maybe you're trying to hide something, trying to clean up a mess.
It's crazy. This is crazy.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah. But
ridiculous.
that's a hot topic there. There's a lot to that. Go check out that video. And yeah, let's hop on to this next topic since we moving here.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse case because
Okay.
apparently there was, obviously we've had some people testify and so on and so forth on the case, and some interesting details came up. And here is a argument in defense, or I guess critique in defense of the prosecution. And this news station had a law professor give his opinions. Check this out.
Week one.
I think they did a couple things. I'm impressed by the job the prosecutors are doing with the situation because the public really is split on this and they're in a tough position. But this is how they're painting it, and I think it's fairly accurate, which is these individuals were not there by anyone's authority. They weren't invited by any of the property owners. And from a number of police officers' point of view, it would have been much safer if they had gone home. So they're part of the havoc versus stopping the havoc. And that's one of the themes that the prosecution is pushing, I think, pretty effectively this week.
But there was talk that they.
So he just made a claim there that is a interesting detail there, that essentially, now looking in hindsight, it would have been better if they would have been home rather than be there, because just having them there created this kind of tension. And if I'm interpreting this,
having
correctly.
who?
Having the Rittenhouse people, and furthermore, the claims that is they were there because someone sanctioned them to be there, the gas station owners, whatever, whatnot, all of a sudden now has stated in court that they never hired these people.
Yeah.
They never hired Rittenhouse. They never hired them. But there's been a number of pictures of the store owners with these people. So that's also pretty conflicting there, Savory.
Yeah. That's
So it says, oh, no, I never hired them, but I'm going to take pictures with them in their militia gear. That's pretty conflicting, because I don't know where to sit.
I actually saw the testimony of one of the brothers, which was really odd, because I'm like, I think you guys got the wrong person, because he kept saying to every answer, he's like, no, my brother knows. All right, let's bring your brother up. But nonetheless, the guy who was testifying was saying that they did not tell them to protect the business.
Another comment here, Havoc. I thought it was a peaceful protest. Great point. All throughout the time in the year, they said it was a peaceful protest gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden there was havoc. It would have been better for them to just be home rather than be here. But I thought it was peaceful. If it was peaceful,
it's in the heels of BLM, by the way. So
yeah,
for those of y'all who don't know.
So I'm going to play it a little bit more because he has some more things to say. And then I'm also going to now spin this because there's other piece to the pie that this news station conveniently leaves out.
They were called to there, but in fact, we heard from a car dealership last week who said they were never asking any armed citizens to come and protect their property.
That's right. And so the defense will be using video next week that's going to show that there was a number of anonymous officers that encouraged them to stay and thanked them for their service and gave them water and things like that. And in that respect, emboldened and empowered folks like Mr. Rittenhouse.
Let's go
That's
back.
the competing narrative.
Let's go back to before last week. You said that you heard in pre-trial some concerning words that will, let's say, ultimately give power to those who carry.
I think that's right. That's the apprehension part in terms of my.
And this one's a major part here. I want this is a major part of the trial that I think needs eyes on.
Anticipation that there will be a use of force expert that's called by the defense. This use of force expert is an expert in use of force by police. That is how he testifies in other cases. That's his area of expertise. The question here is, are we going to apply a similar standard of self-defense that we give, the privilege that we give to officers, to civilians like Mr. Rittenhouse. And if that's the case, and we're going to start blurring the lines between the sort of privilege and more discretion that we give officers, that.
So pretty much there, I don't think his defense is doing a good job, because he brings up a very good point. Why are you bringing a use of force expert that is that gives his expertise on police use of force?
Well,
Mr. Rittenhouse is not a police officer, nor was he a former police officer.
well, I think it would give some validity if we get to a conclusion of if he was actually hired there by the people to protect the business, right? If that turns around, there's a consensus, I think he still might have a case. And I'm guessing his expertise is police defense, right? But I'm guessing he knows a lot about defending under the law. You know what I'm saying? So I still think it could be good. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, but let's see. Yeah.
Well, basically, what I want to play here in this other clip, kind of what they're talking about is justifying Kyle's reasoning for being there. Okay. And I think where the defense has a better and more accurate argument, it's not about whether he's supposed to be there or not, is why he even discharged his firearm in the first place.
Mhm.
So here's an interesting, very, very interesting set of facts. Properly. All right.
On a key piece of evidence today in Kyle Rittenhouse's murder trial. It's footage of a man named Joseph Rosenbaum chasing Rittenhouse and throwing a plastic bag at him. Then moments later, Rittenhouse shoots and kills him. When people in the crowd pursue Rittenhouse, he shoots two of them, killing one. Let's look at this. Here's the video frozen just before he throws that bag. There's Rittenhouse on the left side running away, and Rosenbaum holding the.
This is very important, folks. Rosenbaum is running away despite the fact that he's armed with an AR. He's running away. Someone's throwing a bag at him. Okay, he's running. That shows me already his intention. He's not gun happy.
Well,
Right?
he's running because of, I would say, yes, but I would also say, what up, guy?
Hello.
I would say it's a defense, but at the same time, there's a lot of people. He wasn't gonna just open fire and that many people not knowing who has a gun and who doesn't, right? So I think he was looking
But
at
it's still a known thing that he's retreating, Savory.
yeah, for sure, which is a good thing. It's a good look. Yeah. Mhm.
Right. So keep your thumb on that. The reporter continues.
The bag with his arm raised. See there? Rittenhouse did not fire the first shot you're about to hear. That was fired into the air by another protester. But he did fire the four that you hear after. Here we go.
Oh, we got a gun, baby. Ooh, they Ooh, he shot him.
Rittenhouse's lawyers say that first shot made their client think he was under attack. It's a critical piece of evidence when the central question in the whole trial is whether Rittenhouse was acting in self-defense.
That's the defense's argument right there. Was he acting in self-defense? And if they go on that, they will win that. Where they're probably going to lose this, Savory, is the reason why he was even there in the first place. So he may be dealing with misdemeanor issues.
What's the criminal charge for not being where you're supposed to be? Or isn't this a free
Yeah,
country?
you're not supposed to carry there. Maybe you cross state.
I think they went there. So he was carrying the gun legally from what I was saying.
Yes,
That was a myth. So he was carrying, so he's not being charged for that. Now, if the owners didn't want him there, but what's the criminal case for him not being there if he's still protecting the community, right? And still, that's up in the air. We don't know because, like you said, there's photos of the owners and him together. It's weird, but
It's very conflicting that if you say, I didn't hire him, though you may have not, but you're taking pictures with them that day in their militia gear, gives the impression to the jury that you may have known why they're there in the first place. You may not commission, you may not have given them money, but you may have been happy that they were there.
Yeah, remember,
you know what I'm saying?
I believe if the self-defense charge is something he wins, his lawyer defends well, it's going to be hard for you to charge him with a lot of other stuff, right? Because it's a free country. So I don't know what the charge is that I wasn't supposed to be there. I'm like, all right, I wasn't supposed to be, but I was, right? And now I got in trouble and I defended myself. I know there's more to it, right? It's a whole trial, but this is something I'm thinking about.
And the other thing is the shot that was being fired. They couldn't find anyone who shot that shot. And if it was true, there was another a person who testified on behalf of Kyle. He said that if I heard a shot like that and I'm being chased, my initial thought is that someone's shooting at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to turn around and return fire. It's a justification for my defense. And that's where I think he wins. So, I mean, any jury watching that would probably be compelled to believe that, unless the prosecution has another side of the story that actually criminalizes Kyle in more detailed fashion. Well, I guess we'll have to see how it uncovers. So, and moving on, there seems to be some shenanigans going on with Aaron Rodgers, in particularly his immunized, and I use that word immunized on purpose, because he stated in front of a press conference when someone asked him, "Are you vaccinated?" He says, "Yeah, I'm immunized," and being a little bit facetious on his stance or his status on being vaccinated. He then later on said he's not vaccinated, and he has some very strong reasons as to why he's not getting vaccinated. And the league is aware of this, but the media has been attacking him and attacking him for not being straightforward and honest. That's interesting, the irony in that.
Let's see that.
So let's take his reasoning. Let's see why he didn't take the vaccine.
Much for this incredible honor that we have to potentially allow you to have a platform and a floor to explain your side of this whole thing. And I can't wait to hear it. We're incredibly lucky for it. The floor is yours, Mr. Rodgers.
Thank you, buddy.
Good water drink. It's going to be a long one.
I realize I'm in the crosshairs of the woke mob right now. So before my final nail gets put in my cancel culture casket, I think I'd like to set the record straight on so many of the blatant lies that are out there about myself right now. And I appreciate the opportunity to tell my side of the story on here. First of all, I didn't lie in the initial press conference. During that time, it was a very, witch hunt that was going on across the league, where everybody in the media was so concerned about who was vaccinated and who wasn't, and what that meant, and who was being selfish, and who would talk about it, and what it meant if they said it's a personal decision. They shouldn't have to disclose their own medical information and whatnot. And at the time, my plan was to say that I've been immunized. It wasn't some sort of ruse or lie. It was the truth. And I'll get into the whole immunization in a second. But had there been a follow-up to my statement that I've been immunized, I would have responded with this. I would have said, look, I'm not, some sort of anti-vax flat earther. I am somebody who's a critical thinker. You guys know me. I march to the beat of my own drum. I believe strongly in bodily autonomy and the ability to make choices for your body, not to have to acquiesce to some woke culture or crazed, group of individuals who say you have to do something. Health is not a one-size-fits-all for everybody. And for me...
Savory, is he watching our show?
Wow, that's great right there, man. He's speaking that truth.
We might have Aaron Rodgers watching our show. I mean, he might have time to, sneak in every now and again.
It involved a lot of study in the off season, much like the study I put into hosting Jeopardy or the weekly study I put into playing in the game. I put a lot of time and energy and research and met with a lot of different people in the medical field to get the most information about the vaccines before making a decision. And in actuality, it was pretty easy in the beginning to eliminate two of them. And it didn't involve going into the questionable history of some of their criminal activities and fraud cases or any of that stuff. It was simply the fact that I have an allergy to an ingredient that's in the mRNA vaccines. So on the
And there it is.
There it is.
That's why
Ladies
he decided
and
not to get it.
gentlemen, Yo, I love that clip. Wow, I'm like, you left me wanting more. I want to see the entire interview now. That right there, right? This is what I have to say about this. That right there is what it's all about. When you can actually speak up, have your own thoughts, act on your own thoughts, and be your own person. Because now you get to, they're afraid of how many people he might influence. They're afraid of where this might lead. They're actually afraid of the freedom it might cause. It might empower too many people to be free. So the media nips it in the butt and moves forward with it saying, wow, let's not let this happen. Let's keep this in a box. This is crazy. Yeah. You got any thoughts on that, man?
No, that's it. I think
Yeah,
he
man.
pretty left him much there.
He left it on the table there, and that's only 3 minutes of the interview, but it showed me enough. It showed me enough to see where he stands, right? Because even if you give me that same mentality with getting the vaccine, you can still speak like that and get it, right? Which is the beauty of it, right? You have that choice of really waking up to what the manipulation in our country when it comes to what he said. He's in the crosshairs of the woke media and cancel culture. That was one of my favorite lines, man. But nonetheless, man, if that didn't motivate you, man, because I know I'm going back and listening to every piece of that interview, because it shows a lot of what we stand for in this show and what we want people to really value, right? And it comes to your personal opinion, your personal thoughts, and just what the word he used was critically thinking. Is that a crime now? Can we not critically think about these thoughts and ideas? Come on, man. We have to be willing to talk and think through these ideas, man. Come on, man. Anyways, man, I appreciate everybody on Twitch. Appreciate everybody on YouTube. Appreciate everybody on Facebook, everybody who joined us, man. But again, we do this every single day, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're coming with the heat. We're having fun. We're trying to really give you a reality check and give ourselves a reality check on what we believe in day in and day out, man. This is what we do it for, man. But follow us on Twitch. We got Macho Fix and Savory Edition. We got the same handles on Twitter, Macho Fix 88, Savory Edition. We both on TikTok. We're doing our thing, keeping it growing, going live there every so often. Macho is growing. Check out his page as well. We got our Discord that we kind of got to start promoting a bit more to get that community rolling. And last, again, but not least, we got YouTube channel, Drinks with a Nobody. Subscribe, click that notification bell, and really just support us, not to support us, but to support free speech, man. So we see you on the other side. We thank y'all for joining. Again, this is Drinks with Nobody, where there's no last calls, baby. Let's do this.
Cheers.